The United States military is famous around the world for being at the forefront of weapons technology. But also, due to the strange experiments they have carried out, as well as top-secret developments, which have been the breeding ground for thousands of conspiracy theories, especially during the Cold War. Among the different rumors that have been generated around the U.S. Air Force, one ensures that there is a highly classified aircraft, with an impressive invisibility capacity, and that it can reach the incredible speed of Mach 6. We are talking about the legendary Project Aurora or State Route 91, the reconnaissance aircraft that was intended to replace the legendary State Route 71 Blackbird, but which, according to U.S. authorities, was never carried out. Although both the designation Aurora and the acronym State Route 91 were created by the public to feed the myth, and were never pronounced by any U.S. official, over the years there have been several sightings of this hypothetical plane. A replacement for the Blackbird may never have really existed in the minds of U.S. Air Force engineers, but it may also be that this aircraft was built in secret. In the latter case, we would be talking about a resounding failure, or an unfeasible large-scale project, such as the State Route 71. But it is also possible to think that the development has been a success, and that the aircraft is protected by the highest layers of state secrecy, due to its highly undetectable condition, which would represent an unparalleled asset for the U.S. fleet. Join us in a new episode of Military Aviation to learn all the secrets behind the mysterious Project Aurora. Our story begins in 1985, when the United States Air Force sent Congress a budget that included an item of $455 million of the time, which would be allocated to the development of, literally, a black operations aircraft or black aircraft. This designation, of course, does not refer to the color of the vehicle's finish, but to its function, covert missions that demand extreme stealth capabilities and are normally used to spy on or bomb targets across borders. Several years later, in 1990, some media dedicated to military aviation picked up this financial document and further investigated what type of aircraft could be behind it. One of them was the magazine Aviation Week and Space Technology, an edition that assured that it was a project destined to replace one of the most curious elements of the North American fleets, the State Route 71 Blackbird. The official response from the manufacturing company, Lockheed, was that in fact that budget item was intended for improvements to the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, and that there was no new supersonic aircraft. However, these statements were not very satisfactory for the public, since 1979, the ATB project, the Spirit's code name, had its own means of financing in front of Congress, in addition to the fact that the design was led by a different company, Northrop. This only aggravated the mistrust of the public who are fond of military affairs, as well as of specialized journalism. In the early 1990s, financial analysts at privately held Kemper Securities reviewed the books of Lockheed's Skunk Works, the company's advanced or experimental development arm, and discovered some anomalies. Indeed, the company had worked on Black Ops aircraft, although there were only two declared projects. The first was the U-2 or Dragon Lady, a spy plane designed for the USAF and the CIA. The second was much more famous, the F-117 Nighthawk, one of the first stealth fighters, of which 64 units were built, which were withdrawn in 2008. But the strange thing was that, between 1987 and 1993, the company had received a total of $4,500 million, although these two previously mentioned projects, the U-2R and the F-117, had cost less than $2,000 million in total. The missing $2.5 billion was either dedicated to a top-secret project that has not been disclosed so far, or was simply absorbed by the company as part of the benefits of working for the US government. What do you think really happened? Leave your opinion in the comments. All this, which began as an economic scandal, became much more relevant when alleged witnesses began to appear who, according to their accounts, had seen first-hand strange flying objects, which they associated with experimental aircraft. The first occurred at the end of August 1989, and was picked up a year later by the aforementioned Aviation Week and Space Technology magazine. The British Chris Gibson was working as an engineer aboard the barge GSF Galveston Key, in the North Sea, when he witnessed a rather curious fact. He and his friend saw two aircraft slowly fly over the area. One was a KC-135 Stratotanker aircraft, which was refueling another aircraft. Precisely, this strange vehicle was completely black. It had the shape of an isosceles triangle, with a rounded nose similar to a space rocket. Gibson had experience with military aircraft, and found the curious delta-wing plane extremely strange. In 1992, responding to this sighting, the British Defence Secretary, Tom King, stated that there is no knowledge in the Ministry of Defense of a black program of this nature, although it would not be a surprise to the relevant officers in the air staff and the defense intelligence personnel if it existed. These vague sayings fueled the fire of the conspiracy to hide the Aurora. By the early 1990s, there was already a rough idea of the size of the plane. The Aurora, according to estimates, would measure about 35 meters long, with a wingspan of about 20 meters and a height of 6 meters. Its flight ceiling would be an impressive 41,000 meters, and its effective range without refueling 15,000 kilometers. Because the wings made up a triangle-shaped block, the Aurora's wing area was calculated to be 300 square meters. In addition, it was estimated that it would have all kinds of infrared sensors, radars, day and night vision cameras, lasers, among others. The qualities of a top-secret spy plane, so to speak. As for its speed, it is believed that the Aurora could easily reach Mach 6, that is, about 7,400 kilometers/h. This is impressive, considering that its predecessor, the State Route 71 Blackbird, achieved a top speed of 3,540 kilometers per hour, less than half that, and was still considered one of the fastest aircraft in history. But this is not the only interesting thing, since another piece of evidence that the Aurora actually existed was closely related to its supposed speed. Between 1991 and 1993, several sonic booms were recorded in Southern California, which occurred on Thursdays, between 6 and 7 in the morning. These explosions happen when an aircraft breaks the sound barrier, and represent large disturbances that are easily detected by devices that measure seismic movements. Several devices showed that the explosions happened when an object crossed 4,800 kilometers/h, at an approximate height of 30,000 meters. The US Air Force did not deny or claim to have anything to do with the sonic booms. However, in 2006, a report from the UK Ministry of Defence claimed that the existence of a US hypersonic aircraft was being investigated, which would have been tested over British skies, as well as in Scotland, without permission. This goes hand in hand with the testimonies of the English sailor Gibson. On the other hand, some financial entities assured that, to date, there are more than $9,000 million that Lockheed has received without declaring, for which they believe that the fastest experimental aircraft in the world, the Aurora project, is still being developed. Thank you very much for joining us until the end. Stay tuned for our next video.